Hello, welcome back to the James Ramblin' Reviews for yet another episode. And in today's episode, this is actually going to be what you can consider the finale, quote unquote, or just the finale in general of this entire Alien marathon. So if you don't know, I'll just quickly explain this right now in case you're somebody who just clicked on this video like, oh, James, why are you doing an Alien marathon? So there's a new Alien Romulus movie coming out, and I thought to myself, I've never ever talked about Alien on my review show or the James Ramblin' show or anything, so I was like, you know what, gonna review the first Alien movies in a batch, then do another video where I'm gonna talk about Alien 4, Alien Resurrection, as well as Alien vs Predator and the second Alien vs Predator movie all in one video, right? And then tonight, or whenever you're watching this, I'm going to be giving you my spoiler heavy deep dive on Prometheus and Alien Covenant. And so, yeah, that is pretty much the recap. You don't need to know anything else except from that. So before I get into how I feel about Prometheus and Alien Covenant, right, I'm just going to explain to you what these movies are actually about, because you might be wondering, you might be curious, you want to see this movie, or what is it actually about. So if you don't know, right, Prometheus actually is a prequel to Alien and Aliens, and so you have that. You've got Michael Fassbender in this movie, you've got a few other actors like Idris Elba in this movie, and I'm pretty sure, right, that Prometheus came out around like 15 years after Alien 4, so you have that whole thing where, there's a bit of a time gap in between Alien 4 and Prometheus is not actually Alien 5, it's a prequel. And so it's all about how there's these like people, these scientists and engineers are trying to figure out what mankind is up to, kind of thing, and they're figuring out who their creators are, where they came from, how they end up being the way they are, the way they're meant to be. And Michael Fassbender plays like this android type of character in this movie. He has this British accent and stuff like that. That's what I will say about that. So that when you get into Alien Covenant, right, this is like a sequel to the prequel of Alien, and that sounds confusing to somebody who even is it. See if somebody watches this and you're like, oh, I've not really seen the Alien movies. You think that's confusing, like a sequel to a prequel that's like set a bit after the prequel of a sequel of a franchise, if you know what I mean. Like it's that levels of stuff. So Alien Covenant, right, you've got this whole thing where you've got these people, you've actually got different characters with Michael Fassbender this time, and they're on this ship called the Covenant, and they kind of figured out, there's something bad something is bad that's going on, and they have to figure out what's going on, right? So they travel around, and it that movie kind of intertwines itself with, Prometheus and what Prometheus does, and there's stuff like that about Alien Covenant. And so you have these two movies in a franchise where they're not necessarily Alien 5, Alien 6, but it's a prequel and then a sequel that is a sequel to a prequel. So that's kind of the best way I can describe this, right? And so how do I actually think about these movies? Prometheus, right, I actually have to say that for the first hour of this movie, I couldn't get into it, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I'm gonna be straight up honest, like, just to give you a little bit, tiny bit of a fun fact here for the review show, I watched this movie I watched it yesterday, last night, whatever, and I watched it like a bit after Alien 4, and you know my thoughts on Alien 4, right? And it's like, wow, that movie was just horrible from beginning to end. And then you get to Prometheus, and it's like the first hour is so bad, and or not just it's just hard to get into. It's just really slow. But then there's like pretty visuals. There's a booming soundtrack, and it looks pretty and stuff like that. And Michael Fassbender has one of the best performances in this movie. And then after 1 hour, I don't know how many minutes into that hour it was, right? I fell in love with this movie, and if I'm going to compare it to the rest of the franchise, it's not better than Aliens, but it's actually better than Alien 3 and Alien 4, and even that's not saying much. And the reason why I say this is that it builds this intrigue, and it's trying to answer the reason why the alien xenomorph thing came to be. I mentioned earlier about the mankind thing. They're trying to figure this thing out, and that's what it does. And you get a bunch of reveals, and towards the end of this movie you do see how the xenomorph thing, the creature, comes alive, and that's like, oh, okay. And I have actually seen people that, you know, they're like, oh, we don't really need the answers to this. The whole point of Alien, the really good thing about the original Alien was how there was a lot of mysterious stuff about the alien. It's like you had to wait the entire movie to figure out what's happening. So the fact that a movie just answers all of the questions, and it's like, oh my goodness, why? And I do actually understand that criticism, but I do appreciate this movie for how it tries to kind of stand out in the franchise. So you don't just have Sigourney Weaver again. Because it's a prequel, you have different characters, and I appreciate that about the film. And so out of 10, I would give the movie like a solid like 7 out of 10, considering the fact that I enjoy it way more than Alien 3 and Alien 4. But if you put a gun to my head, what is the best sequel to the Alien franchise? It's Aliens, even though I prefer the original Alien. So there's that. And so when you get into how I feel about Alien Covenant, right, there's a really interesting fun fact about this movie, that there is a literal poster of this movie where it shows the xenomorph, like full on xenomorph, and you're like, I better see this right now, bye baby, I better see this thing. And there's people like that, they really wanted to see like the alien show up, because obviously Prometheus takes a whole new approach to this franchise, and it's more philosophical, it's more deeply layered, and you have to actually pay attention to what's going on. And so with Alien Covenant, right, I don't know what it was about this movie. Was it because I enjoyed Prometheus? Because I'm saying that I was just taken aback by the fact that how much fun I had watching this movie. Of course, there is certainly some parts where it's just Michael Fassbender putting in a lot of work into that performance, and I enjoy that. And then it has a bit of action sequences with the alien, but that doesn't happen till later on in this movie. And the beginning of Alien Covenant, right, it's like you have Michael Fassbender playing the piano, and you always sees an art painting, and it's like, oh, look at him go, he's a smart little guy. And then this movie, in Alien Covenant, right, he's actually American, because he's a different version of who he was in Prometheus, and so there's definitely that kind of thing going on. And the crew members, like, I don't think, like, the crew members of Alien Covenant, they're not as, like, rememberable as, like, you know, the people from the original Alien, like that cast, the guys like Ian Holt, Sigourney Weaver and everybody else, like they have classic performances, and here, like, Alien Covenant has like okay performances outside of Michael Fassbender, and that's the same thing I felt about Prometheus, where I was like, you know, I actually think that Michael Fassbender carries the entire movie. Like, there's Idris Elba, he's okay, so there's definitely that. And so out of 10, I would actually give Alien Covenant like a solid 6 out of 10. It's a weird one to say, because like I enjoy this movie. Alien Covenant actually flies by for me, but it's not better than the original Alien. Aliens is still the best sequel, and so it's in this weird spot where there's the cool stuff with Prometheus, where it's like kind of linking into that as well, and then you've got that bit where it's trying to emulate the action of Aliens, and so it's kind of like a watchable mixed bag, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't hate the movie, but as more time and more hours it sat with me, I didn't hate the movie. It was like, yeah, I definitely prefer Prometheus, but I didn't hate Alien Covenant. So yeah, that is the marathon over, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. This is more of a deep dive take, a deep take on my reviews. So yeah, stay tuned for my Alien Romulus video coming up. I can't wait to actually review that and see how it turns out based on my opinions on the franchise as a whole. So yeah, bye.